Well, you know the saying, ignore everything before the word but, right? When people say, I like you, but, ignore everything before the word but. It works for the word however, which is a synonym for but. So let me read to you a bit from the Christchurch Call, as these censors call their manifesto. Let me quote. A free, open, and secure internet is a powerful tool to promote connectivity, enhance social inclusiveness, and foster economic growth. The internet is, however, but not immune from abuse by terrorist and violent extremist actors. So ignore everything before the word however. They say they want a free and open internet. And then they use the word however, and then they spend another 1,000 words explaining how they will make it unfree. And they start by saying they want to crack down on terrorism. Well, I agree, of course. And by cracking down on violent extremist actors. That's tough to disagree with. But hang on. What does that have to do with the rest of what they're doing, what they're actually doing? Well, shut up, you Islamophobe. They're taking away the guns of every law-abiding New Zealander because, shut up, she explained. So, for example, if you're going after terrorists, why does so much of the Christchurch Call actually go after peaceful users of social media? Let me read some more. Support frameworks such as industry standards to ensure that reporting on terrorist attacks does not amplify terrorist and violent extremist content without prejudice to responsible coverage of terrorism and violent extremism. Hang on. So I get going after the terrorists, but the government and these tech companies are going to go after reporting now? They're going to ensure that reporting on terrorist events is responsible. What does that mean? Well, you know what that means. And they know what it means in Senegal and Indonesia too. It's called censorship. They're not going after terrorists. Google can't go after a terrorist. They can go after people talking about terrorism. That's what they're doing here. Here's some more. Consider appropriate action to prevent the use of online services to disseminate terrorist and violent extremist content, including through collaborative actions, such as awareness raising and capacity building activities aimed at smaller online service providers. Development of industry standards or voluntary frameworks. Regulatory or policy measures consistent with a free, open, and secure internet and international human rights law. Oh, got it. So the government, the tech companies, they will do awareness raising, especially at the smaller internet companies who, might not be so into the liberal narrative. Industry standards, But of course they really believe in free speech, people, and they want you to know that. Let me read some more. To that end, we, governments and online service providers, as if there's any dividing line anymore, commit to work collectively, to work with civil society to promote community-led efforts to counter violent extremism in all its forms, including through the development and promotion of positive alternatives and counter-messaging. Oh, okay, so that's what we're doing. The government is getting into positive messaging, positive alternatives. So we're talking about reporting again now, aren't we? We're talking about conversations again, politics again. So we're not actually talking about violent terrorist actions anymore. We're talking about Twitter and Facebook and Google and Amazon and books and movies and people like you and me, I guess. So these massive companies will work with these massive governments to provide a counter-narrative. Really, counter-messaging, really. So not so much about terrorists anymore, but sure a lot about you. And Trudeau put out this press statement pretty much just repeating what Ardern and Macron told him to say. But then he linked, as you can see there, he linked to a Canadian document that he and his people drafted. It's produced by the Department of Public Safety. It's the security threats in Canada. You know the one where Ralph Goodale ordered police to go back and delete any references to Muslims or Sikh extremists. Now, I checked the document. Those words have indeed all been deleted. We have over 100 ISIS terrorists who've returned from Syria and Iraq to Canada. We have ISIS plots uncovered monthly. There was just another terrorist incident this week. And the biggest attack in our country's history, as you recall, about 30 odd years ago, was when Sikh extremists blew up the Air India jet. So that's all expunged. So much for violent terrorism and extremism. Instead, if you do a word search in the document, what Trudeau is telling you is that the real threat in Canada is from the far right. It just is, folks. Let me read to you an excerpt from this security document. This is a piece of creative writing. I'm serious. Let me read it to you. This is from the document. Scenario A. Alex, a high school student, gets into an argument about Canada's foreign aid with another student who happens to be a recent immigrant. Alex is outraged that Canada provides help to foreigners when so many Canadians are in need. This incident makes him believe that immigrants should not have a say about any of Canada's policies. Noticing his outrage, a friend takes Alex to a protest organized by a far-right group that proclaims anti-immigrant rhetoric. So that's the threat. They had to make up that short story. It goes on for quite a bit. That's creative, right? They wrote that's a piece of fiction. You don't have to make up short stories about Muslim extremists in Canada because there are hundreds of them, including those who have gone to murder and rape in Iraq and Syria and have been welcome home. One of them got $10.5 million from Trudeau. His name's Omar Khadr. They murder in Syria and Iraq. They murder in Africa. And they're murdering in this country too. They even murdered Nathan Cirillo in downtown Ottawa. This is the document, though, to which Trudeau linked in his official statement on the Christchurch Call. Nothing about the word Islam, the word Muslim is not in there, but right-wingers are in there, and this Alex kid in high school because he didn't like immigration and foreign aid. He's the threat. This is not about stopping terrorism, people. It's about stopping conservatives who don't like Justin Trudeau's policies. It's about stopping you. And the media party, the mainstream media in Canada, they couldn't be happier about this. Because they hate you too. That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant show. Every day I do a video monologue and then I interview an interesting guest. And then I end by reading my hate mail. But you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at therebel.media/shows.